Hey, this is Brian. Thanks for watching Kies. Today we are at New Jersey Motorsports Park with BMW CCA New Jersey. We're in HPDE track event. Now, if you're not familiar, HDPE stands for High Performance Drivers Education. This event is a combination of classroom learning and then one-on-one instructing on the track in your own car where you can become the best driver possible. Now, prior to showing up at your first track event, you can't just show up and wing it. You have to be prepared. You have to ensure that you have a fresh brake fluid flush and a few other things. But to get all the specifics, let's go through tech inspection and we'll bring you along. All right, we are here in tech inspection with Ron, who is the Chief of Tech for BMW CCA. So Ron, what are we going to be looking for today?
We go through a number of basic safety checks on the car. We rely primarily on your pre-track safety inspection, the checklist you've gone through there, because we here don't do a complete mechanical inspection of the car. We're just looking to spot check some obvious oversights. Like, for example, your trunk is full of all stuff you just got here, so we're going to want you to empty that before you go on track. We look for these things. It's mainly for reminders. Observations that we see. We'll take a look at your brake pads. If your brake pads were under, or getting close to what we like to see for a comfortable level, we might ask you if you had a spare set with you and remind you to keep an eye on it during the course of the weekend.
Now, Ron, while we're here, what are the current requirements for helmet?
Okay, so for helmets, there's an organization called the Snell Foundation that sets standards and conducts testing and provides information to helmet manufacturers for minimum safety standards to ensure that it protects you in an impact or any other situation. They're classified for motorsports use, which is an SA or special application helmet, and M or motorcycle helmets. And I'm not going to try to show it to you on camera and all because it's buried under the padding, but there's a hologram in here, a little sticker with a hologram on it that gives us the year of the certification. At any given time, the most recent 2 certifications are accepted, and they're released every 5 years.
Okay.
So basically, if you buy a helmet brand new when it's first available under a new Snell certification standard, it's good for 10 years. If you buy a little later, maybe you only have 5.
Got it.
So yours, looked at it earlier off camera, and we found it's an SA 15, which means it was a 2015 standard, and this is the last year that will be valid. So when you come back to us next year, and I hope you will be back, you'll need to pick up a new helmet in the off-season. They should become available for sale typically late fall, early spring of the year the standard is published. So it's the 2025 fall or 2026 spring.
Great, yeah, so later in the fall, pick up a helmet and it's good for 10 years.
Yep, so if you want to spend big on a helmet, now's the time to do it because you'll get maximum life out of it.
Okay.
If you've got that big carbon fiber stilo you had your eyes on, go for it.
Now, for the pre-event checklist, we will have a link for you to reference down in the description below so you can take a look at it before you hit the track. All right, moving up to the engine bay, what are you typically looking for under the hood?
In the older cars, when they come through, we're looking for a lot of basic maintenance and safety and wear items, leaks and condition of belts and these sort of things. On newer cars, we tend to take a little bit of a different view because obviously we're just looking for anything grossly out of line because it's generally pretty much still in great shape from the factory. Yours, falling into the heavily modified category, what I would mostly look for are if any of the modifications look sketchy or, overlooked anything while you were working on it, like loose clamps or interference problems are a big one, right? Like I see a lot of new plumbing in here that I'm not entirely sure is what BMW is and what might be yours. So I'm just making sure there's nothing that looks like it might be a problem on track. Maybe give it a little experimental wiggles if you might have any problems under load. Sure. It's as much about making sure your weekend doesn't get ruined as it's about safety and yourself and others, because the major inspection, like I said, is done at your shop. But here, the last thing you want to do is get out on track and find out you missed something like a loose clamp or a leaky hose or something like that blow out all your coolant and you're done for the weekend.
Then everybody else hates you.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Now we're also going to check the outside of the car. We look at brake pad thickness. I'm comparing the thickness of the pad lining to the backing plate because that's usually a good reference for us for where 50% material is.
Now, what's the current standard for doing your brake fluid before a track event?
We do have that on the form. You were required to put in the month and year of your last brake fluid change. What we're looking for with the BMW CCA and the New Jersey chapter specifically, because different chapters have different standards, we have an 8-month standard. So basically, if you're coming for the beginning of the season, if you changed it like just now, you'd be good basically through our driving season. Most organizations run a 6-month standard. It's just a little bit more conservative. The reason it's more frequent than the factory recommendation, which is typically 1 to 2 years or more for a complete flush, is because obviously you're putting more stress on the fluid. You want to make sure the boiling point and everything's up to snuff. Tires and wheels, we checked for wheel rock earlier. On a car with new bearings, that's never really an issue. Tires, obviously a day like today where it's sloppy wet, we look for adequate tread for a wet track. Out here on slicks would not not be a good day.
Right. All right, and for the interior, what are we looking for in here?
All right, well, we already talked about your trunk and everything in there, so we're looking for the same thing, basically. We want to make sure everything's empty and in good condition. Harnesses would be a big thing. If you had aftermarket seats, we'd be looking at make sure you had proper equivalent harnesses for both sides, that they were properly installed. As a YouTuber, you come under automatic scrutiny for cameras and other devices inside the car.
Yep.
So
Guilty.
we're looking for that sort of thing. And actually, I do see a small problem with your phone there on the dash.
Oh, yeah.
Would you be planning to have that on when is that any kind of data app while you're on track? Or
No.
like
We're gonna put that one away.
Okay, good.
What about like a toll pass and things like that? Are you looking for everything off the windshield?
Yeah, the reason we want all that stuff off is because most of us tend to put it on and forget about it.
Right.
And if it's loosening in any way, you're not going to know it until it falls off.
Right.
Falls off on the road, no big deal. Falls off here and ends up under your gas or brake pedal,
And you
really
turn
bad
the
day.
Patrick Dempsey.
Exactly. Same thing for the phone. That's why we want to see any devices inside the car mounted to certain standards and tethered as a secondary safety measure. So like for this example, sometimes we do have people who will use various apps for data analysis and coaching while they're on the track or to review later. Phones are problematic because phones don't have a physical place to attach a tether.
Right.
So what we usually say is, okay, hard mount, tether the mount, and maybe zip tie around the phone to make sure that it can't come off the mount. Heaven forbid anything goes wrong, the devices leaving their mounts are a consequence, not a cause.
Right. You had that fail-safe.
Right, and that's all we're really looking for. That's the biggest thing.
All right, we passed tech inspection. Let's head over to the classroom and learn what we need to know for the track. Here you'll start out by learning the rules of the road, flags, overall safety, braking points, turn-ins, and everything you need to know for a successful track day. BMW CCA is the organization who set the gold standard for high-performance driver's education, and they do not disappoint. After your time in the classroom, you'll be paired up one-on-one with an instructor who will ride with you in your car to guide you through every inch of the track. My instructor for the day was George, who is an experienced racer and taught me the ins and outs of driving his line that he drives for maximum speed and smoothness. When it comes to passing, you'll notice that it's very safe and controlled. In designated portions of the track, if you want to pass someone, the driver in the slower car will indicate which side of the car they'd like you to pass on with a hand signal, which is done to make sure that everyone stays safe. And let's be honest, whether you have a 30-year-old 3 Series or a brand new M3, everyone wants to drive their car home safe and sound that night with no damage. And it's things like this that keep it that way. Now, speaking of the cars at these events, you'll notice that there's a huge array of BMWs from old to new, standard cars to M cars, automatics and manuals, but you'll also see a variety of different auto brands. And that's because while it is a BMW CCA event, all cars are welcome. And for this event specifically, there were BMWs, Porsches, Audis, Fords, Subarus, and even a Ferrari. So regardless of which brand you prefer, you're totally welcome to come out and enjoy the gold standard of high-performance driver's education. After the classroom, you'll hit the track again and take it up a notch with your new learnings. In the later sessions, you'll learn to drive smoother and faster, improving your lap times again and again as you refine your skills. As those skills improve, there's even opportunities with instructor sign-off to bump you up to different driving levels and opportunities to go solo if that's your goal. At the end of the day, I had the opportunity to drive with Tyler from Thai Speed, who many of you know, a very accomplished racer who's done over 5,000 laps at this very track. He helped me leverage momentum from each turn and optimize my braking and throttle inputs to significantly shorten my lap times. If you haven't been to a BMW CCA event in the past, you absolutely need to get to one. One of the things that I love about this group is that they are all willing to help. They check their egos at the door. Even guys that are way more experienced, they are willing to help out the absolute newbie, which was really me in this case. And it's an absolutely incredible event, whether you are a beginner or a pro, to help refine your skills and really push the limits of you and your car on track in a safe and controlled environment. If you're interested in joining a BMW CCA event, we have some links for you down in the description where you can look up events that are close to you. And if you're looking for go fast parts or parts to help you stop at the track, be sure to check us out at Kies.com. Once again, my name is Brian. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the track.